Let's talk quick practice for second grade unit 1. So you have some options in this unit as to how you follow through with the quick practices. Remember, quick practices are only for 5 minutes and they should be student led. Second grade is somewhat of an exception to this rule in terms of the student leader part, because this particular unit is all about rehearsing for fact fluency. So sometimes a lot of teachers will do quick practice with students doing their individual cards. So remember, this is the unit where you're going to use your Math Mountain cards. You have yellow versions, you have blue versions, and we teach students how to use these cards independently with partners. And then, of course, they show up here in your quick practice. You also have Dive the Deep. That's a individual workbook page that is in the student workbook. I'm going to show you a picture of it. It looks something like this, but of course, yours doesn't have sea animals on it. And it's in the student workbook. And so it's introduced in this unit. And now we're working on teen, addition, and subtraction. And students have all of the answers showing. And then they're supposed to be using a piece of paper or a ruler or something and basically quizzing themselves on these facts. Now, there's a couple fun ways you can do that if you want them to use this piece of paper and you want them to use these cards. You can also use students to be student leaders and make this just like all quick practices should be, which is choral response. So let me walk you through what that's going to look like. As you start the unit, you could have students sort their Math Mountain cards. Now, in expressions, they have you use them basically like just quizzing them, like no matter which card you choose, you quiz yourself. And the great part about math expressions materials is that for fact fluency, there's immediate feedback. So you're going to notice on the Math Mountain card that you have the full fact family, and students take a card, they put their thumb over something, and then they can quiz each other or themselves, and then they see the answer. So it would be 4 plus something gives me 7, 3. And then they recite that fact, 4 plus 3 equals 7. And then they could say 7 minus 4 equals 3 if they were to use this card. So restating the fact is pretty important. Now, you can use the cards so they have instant feedback. If you use Dive the Deep, they see the answers. So one of the problems with things like just giving random time tests is that students can do an entire page of math facts while missing a key fact like 4 plus 3. They keep putting 8, and for an entire page, they are missing that fact, and they're now rehearsing something incorrectly because they're not getting immediate feedback. The idea here is that you get immediate feedback so your brain catches on to the right answer, and then you practice correctly. Okay, so the idea is that you could practice any of the cards. The cards that are yellow are facts to 10. The cards that are blue are with their teen facts. Now, my suggestion, though, is that you actually sort the cards. So I have a sorting mat here. You can see it on my screen. And if you're using a smart board, interactive board, you have students sort their cards. So what type of a fact is this? And students are like, oh, that's a doubles fact. Oh, there's another doubles fact. This is a 5 plus fact. So they take their cards and they sort them. Now, you can ask students as a student leader to take a card and the student says class and the whole class says doubles and the student leader moves it to doubles. They take the next class or next card, class, doubles, and they move it to the double screen. Okay, so the first job is everyone sees the card. You just identify what type of fact is it, which is really the first step to fact fluency. Now, students choose a pile of those cards and they rehearse that pile. So my suggestion is you first sort the cards. Then you're going to use the cards that are in the 0 and +1 category, and you're going to rehearse and pass those cards, mixing up whether or not you're covering the total or you're covering a partner. And so in this case, you can use the slide that we've given you access to, where if I have, for example, all of the totals covered, and then you can see that all of the cards are only our 1s or 0 cards. So I would say, the student leader would say class, and everyone would say 1 plus 6, and the student leader would say think about it. They give a signal, the whole class says 7. The student leader moves the cover. Everyone's like, yay, okay, we got it right. So you keep going, and you could even do it faster, because for these, students should know them. 5 and 0, class, 5. 0 and 1, class, 1. And they remove it so they see that instant answer and feedback. So you can choose to do it in choral response. You can also choose to give these slides to your students, and students do their own mastery fact practice independent on their Chromebook or whatever device they have. Or you have students use these cards and they do the sort, then everyone grabs their correct cards, their 0 and 1s. You're going to paperclip all the other subsets together. You're going to keep them in a baggie or in a coupon organizer or another way to keep those cards sorted. or you put them all back in the baggie mixed up. Because remember, just sorting the cards is an activity in itself. I say, everyone grab your 0 and 1 cards or just your 0 cards, whatever. And now I can say, practice with a partner. And I'm going to teach students how to practice with a partner. Okay. What does it look like? What is cheating? What's not fair? Okay. Then that might be for 1 minute. The timer goes off. The student leader says, independent practice. The students grab their own cards again. And now they're quizzing themselves, and they will put them on their fact map, whether they know quickly or not yet need a strategy, had to think about it. They'll make 2 piles now. Okay. So know quickly should be ones that I can grab as the teacher, and I can quiz any kid on the fact cards that are in their know quickly pile and see if that's really true. No matter what I cover up, do they know that missing fact? Now, norm them. When they're saying the answer like 3, that's great. If they got it wrong, they need to restate all the facts in the family. So if I didn't say 3, let's say I said 2, and I look at like, oh, it's 3. I would say 4 plus 3 equals 7. 7 minus 4 equals 3. I'm going to go in either direction. Okay. So the more you norm it, the better it's going to be, versus kids just kind of looking at the cards. They're not really covering up. They're not really quizzing themselves. They basically cheat the whole time. Okay. Not worth your time. So if students are struggling, you're going to do it together, and you're going to make it choral response. As students start to get it, now you're going to have them do partner practice for a minute, independent practice for a minute, move on to the next one. The goal is 5 minutes of fact fluency practice in Unit 1. So you will continue to do that until you get to lesson 3. So just for 2 lessons, you're going to really norm. Then lesson 3, you're going to say, okay, now we have a second part of the quick practice. So the first part of the quick practice is all math facts. The second part of the quick practice is understanding these partners of a number and seeing how when I have 12 equals 9 plus 3, that is the same as 9 plus 3 equals 12. So we're looking at what those similarities are. So the student leader would say, what patterns do you notice in these equations? You might say, turn and talk. Again, it's an exception to the rule. Normally in quick practice, we don't do turn and talk. Normally, we don't do partner work. It is all class, all choral response. This is an exception. Okay, so I'm going to say, class, turn and talk to your neighbor. They turn and talk. They're like, I noticed they all have 12 as a total. They all have 9 as a partner. They have a 3 as a partner. Okay, they're all their same numbers. They're just, this one has totals first. This one has totals last. Okay, so we elicit all that information quickly. Then we say, what equations relate to the diagram? Okay, how do the equations relate? And they should see that the total never changes. So it's 12, it's 12, it's 12. It's a matter of all these numbers go together. Okay. The fact family stays together. They all have 12. It's just in some of the drawings, we've broken it apart. When it's addition, it's partners 9 and 3 or 3 and 9. I can see both. I can see this equation and this equation with this line. Same thing down here. I can see that there's 12. In this case, we broke up the partners 9 and 3, but we're taking away 9. So I can see now the partners. You're taking a couple moments to have quick conversation. And you're going to repeat this conversation every time you see a slide like this, because the first time some kids don't see it. They don't see the patterns. They don't see the partners. You talk about it the next day. One more kid was like, oh yeah, this was like yesterday. Look at all the numbers are the same. They will start to pick it up. That's the point of quick practice, is we're building fluency. Last, the student leader would say, they're going to point to a total or an addend, and they're going to say total or addend. Okay. So you can say total or partner, both. Right? So I look here and kids would say partner, partner, total. And I'm like, say it again now with addend and sum. Addend, addend, sum. Or a student leader might just go here, total, partner, total. Because remember, 3 is not a total. And second graders are going to think that because they think the equal sign means the answer and think it's always a total. That's not true. In subtraction, the total is the very first number. So we're going to just quiz kids. And anytime a student leader points to any of these numbers, they say total or partner, or you can sophisticate it. I suggest you do both rounds, sum and addend. We are building automaticity and fluency with that vocabulary. Now, notice these are the blue Math Mountain cards. So we're still building up some strategy here versus with the yellow, we're working on automaticity for these particular quick practices. You only have 5 minutes. So if you do this slide for, let's say, 2 minutes, then students would independently practice or group practice or choral response practice their cards for another 3. Now, I've seen second grade teachers be super creative, and they'll say, okay, as kids come transition in from lunch or from morning work or from whatever, they grab their baggie of their yellow cards, they sit down, they immediately start sorting, they immediately start quizzing themselves on whatever the fact is we're practicing today. Okay. And then once everyone has settled, as you know, like you're waiting for the kid to go to the bathroom, getting a drink from the drinking fountain, someone can't find their pencil, quick practice has started, you've used all that transition time to practice your cards. Now, as the student leader goes up there, you do a couple choral responses and you move right to the next part of the quick practice, which is this. There is a way to capitalize and save time and get a lot of practice in. You will continue to do both of those all the way until you get to lesson 10. And by the time we get to lesson 10, we've now had 10 lessons working on strategy, derived strategies, doubles plus 1, plus 2, make 10, etc. The goal is that students are using Dive the Deep as their way to practice now their teen facts, which should be the basis of what we're doing in second grade in terms of fact mastery. If we're meeting the standards, our second graders should already know their facts within 10. They should know these yellows. We're just spending a few days kind of refreshing their memory and rehearsing. If you're like me, I've never had a second grade class come in and know all of their facts within 10. So we've really needed this time. And the goal in expressions is that by the time you get to lesson 10, you can move on from these cards and you can move now to the blue cards and Dive the Deep to start practicing your teen totals. Now, if you're in the Math Genius Squad, then you know I've also imported into these slide decks fact fluency slides, because in my world, you will continue to be assessing these slides, these facts within 10, all unit long. Then when we get to these slides, we are working on strategy, not necessarily automaticity. Now, if you have students that are ready for automaticity, feel free. But remember, this part of the quick practice is also about, are you using that sophisticated strategy of the whole class says 12 minus 9, and the class is think about the answer, but they're modeling the make 10 strategy. I'm thinking 9 and 1 makes a 10, 10 and 2 makes 12, my total 3. Okay, so 12 minus 9 equals 3, the missing partner. So then I'd say, okay, now practice with your mountain cards. You're doing the same thing. Cover up one of the partners. You're thinking to yourself, 9 plus what equals 12. So the Dive the Deep is all mixed up. Okay, you can see that all the different animals here are different facts. I just don't think that it's been very effective. So I feel like I want to have kids sort their blue Math Mountain cards into piles now. The 9 plus facts, the 8 plus facts, the 7 plus facts. Okay. And I'm going to have them, in this case, they're just practicing their 9s and their 8s. We're practicing strategy. I purposely want them, the student leader, to say 17 minus 8 equals, think about it. Class, we'll see who knows it because you'll hear it right away. 9, class, you use a strategy. 8 and 2 make a 10. Add 5 more, make 17, right? So now I have 9 makes 17. So we have 8 and 2 make a 10, add 7 more, and we get 17. 8 and 9, that's how many fingers I have, make 17. So really, this is up to you. I gave you 2 slides to chorally rehearse and remind students what they should be doing when they do it by themselves. So we're going to do a chorally response first. How do we do it with the equation? How do we do it with the Blue Math Mountain card? Then you release them to do it independently or with a partner, your choice, but we want them now to practice a lot, whether that is they're practicing on their Dive the Deep page. And I have given you a code here where you're saying, just go practice all the -9s or the +9s. The -8s or the +8s. You can see they're mixed in here because I don't want you to do the whole sheet unless you're really ready for it. Let's just practice our 9s and our 8s. Okay. So again, they'll cover this up because they have a piece of paper, a ruler, an index card. They're saying the whole fact. They're saying the answer. They look to see if they're right. They restate it. They move to the next one. You choose. So you can do it here on the slide and do it as a class, and the student leader just points to it and then deletes whatever the animal is to give the answer. But everyone recites the equation. Or you have students practice independently or with a partner with their Blue Math Mountain cards or with their Dive the Deep page. It really is up to you. You continue to have math fact sorting cards, something like this. If you don't have this, please just comment below or go to our website, empowerlearngrow.com, go to Fact Fluency, and you'll see our sorting mats there. So you can do it slides. You can do it independently with your math expressions materials. If you're in the Math Genius Squad, I've embedded your fact fluency assessment days and what facts you're working on practicing with automaticity versus what facts you're practicing with strategy. If you're not in the Math Genius Squad, go visit us at empowerlearngrow.com. We sure would love to help you so that you had slides for all of your lessons and everything you need. Friends, 5 minutes, Don't skip it every day. We'll see you next unit online.